All right, guys, let's have a quick look and talk about the Glycine Airman. This particular one is GL0067. If you go looking for Glycine Airman, you're going to find a million different variations of this watch. Sizes, colorways, movements. So you can go 12, 24. So there's a standard three-handed 24-hour option, which would be called the Purist. There's the rotating bezels, or there's just way too many combinations throughout its years of production. So anyway, I wanted a white dial. This was kind of the one I settled on. There are some arguably better white dial ones. This one's more of a silver or off-white or cream or something like that, but it just resonated with me. So that's why I picked it. Let's get into the specs. So you're looking at a 42 millimeter case width, 52 lug to lug. I know that's a really long lug to lug, but check how dramatic the turn down for those lugs are. This thing hugs my 7¼ inch wrist. I actually want to wear this watch. It is that comfortable. 12.2 millimeter thick. That's including the double dome sapphire crystal, and it also has a display case back. And 22 millimeter lug width. It looks like it's larger than that just because of the maxi style lugs here, the really thick lugs and the way they angle down and stuff. Very bold looking, to say the least. 6.5 millimeter screw down crown, 100 meter water resist. This screw down crown doesn't do anything for the timekeeping function of the movement, but it's what locks in and controls the bezel. So you'd unscrew this. If you zoom in, you can see that. You unscrew this guy, like so, and you can see all it does is it just allows space in between the gear or the teeth of the locking portion versus the bidirectional friction, although it's light friction bezel spin. And then once you get it to the position that you want, you go ahead and screw that down, and then it locks it in place. Just as simple as that. Move her around a little bit, lock her down, and then you're good to go. So you can track that third time zone. So if you look at the dial on this, you can see that off-white that I was kind of talking about, or cream. And in the sun, which I didn't get any outside video, but it has a little bit of texture, a little bit of sheen to it as far as like glistening. There's more in the dial than you think. When it catches actual sunlight, you'll see like a pearl or metallic look to it almost. You don't really pick it up here. Polished handset. The GMT, or 24-hour hand, is skeletonized and goes out quite a ways. The minute and hour hand of the 12-hour the 12-hour timekeeping of it are a little more subtle, a little more normal. Because you can get this actual watch, I think it's a GL0061, in just a 12 hours. So and then the 12-hour bezel. So you can track 2 time zones using the bezel without this movement. So it would just be a regular Sellita movement. This one's actually using the Sellita SW330, which has the date, obviously, the 3-hand 12-hour operation, and then it has a 24-hour hand running as well. And to get the Purist, all they really do, maybe it's more complicated than this, but what they do is they basically they use this same movement, the 330, and they remove the 12-hour hand, and then it's a Purist, because then it's a 24-hour only clock. So I don't know if you can call that really a signed crown, but that's kind of like their version of a signed crown. I really like the case shape on this, and then I do like having a display case back as a custom rotor for the Glycine Airman. You can see there are 25 joules, Swiss made, and then the SW330 is up there. Whatever information you want to see there. But back to the case. What I like about the case, I talked about this in a live stream, but see how it kind of bellies out? That looks really cool. I like that. It kind of fits the whole profile of it, but they bellied out even in between the lugs. I can't think of a single watch, and I'm sure they're out there, but where they actually carry that same side profile feature in between the lugs. And you can they do make a bracelet, a fitted bracelet for most of the Glycine Airman watches. So typically when you have a watch that requires so typically you would have to contour the case to fit an end link so you can get a bracelet in there. So it's, primary function is going to be on bracelet, whereas this one they knew that they were going to be mostly on straps with a bracelet option. So I like that they carried that case profile in between the lugs too. Most people don't see that. I think the wearer sees it for sure, but I really dig it. I really like it. As far as tracking the different time zones, I'm going to put a link in the description to a video I found that did a really good job of it. I'm not going to go through and explain it because I'll probably just butcher it. And I really don't even have a need for GMT. I just like the Glycine Airman. But essentially, for me, the way I use this style of GMT movement is I keep my 12-hour register as my home time, and then my 24-hour GMT hand is what I would set. So for my second time zone. So if you unscrew the crown, you get your winding position as your first one. If you pop it out to the first stop, that's where you're going to get your date change and then your GMT hand. So the only issue, or the main issue that I think a lot of people have with this, as you can see, the GMT hand only moves forward. See, I'm going to butcher it. That's why you don't want me to explain how to use the GMT. Anyway, let's put the watch on wrist so you can see what it looks like on my 7¼ inch wrist. The other thing that's really cool about this watch, if you have a larger wrist, the factory leather strap is crazy comfortable. I kind of wish it was a different color tone, but the strap is awesome. The hardware is awesome, and it's plenty long enough. I am on like a 7¼ Like if you have a smaller wrist than me, you might actually be kind of screwed with the strap because it doesn't really go too much smaller. But if you have a larger wrist, you definitely have some play in there. But I absolutely love the way it wears on wrist. It's super comfortable. It's slim at just over 12 millimeter thick. And then with those oversized arc turn down lugs, it just hugs the wrist for sure. Super comfortable, all day wearability. The lume on it is actually really good. I think considering what kind of watch it is, I'm not sure if it's C1 or C3. It's definitely green, but I didn't find any definitive information if it's C1 or C3. So let's kill the lights and check the lume. There you have it. Plenty legible. As far as long lasting, I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't, I know it doesn't last like hours and hours and hours. It definitely drops off because I didn't have any lume on it when I woke up this morning versus when I went to bed at night. So you can already see it's kind of fading a little bit, especially on the printed on indices. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Oh, price. I didn't talk price. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't talk price, because these, you used to be able to get these back in the day from like Joma Shop for like $2.95, and then they were on drop, the mass drop thing, a ton all the time. So you used to be able to get these things dirt cheap. I picked this one up for $4.75. So is that a good deal? I think that's probably a fair market price, but I see a trend of the price climbing on these Glycine Airmen, and not just like certain ones. I mean, certainly there are models out there that are like rapidly increasing, but the entire lineup is actually increasing in price. So if you're interested in getting one, sooner rather than later, I think. All right, guys, thanks for watching.